Morning. How we doing, everyone? Sam here, United People's TV. We're kickstarting another week here. I wish I could have as much festive cheer as I had on Friday. Remember that? Launched the PS5 giveaway. Had another giveaway. Gave away a shirt. And then football happened at the weekend. And things went a little bit different. Yes, I've got a hat on. Yes, it's still cold as hell in this room. Damn. We're here to talk about Ten Hag. We're here to talk about Man United. We're here to talk about the beginning of the cycle. It's happening again. Fingers getting pointed towards players. Fingers getting pointed in the other direction towards managers. Scorn towards the owners and the boards. Oh, let's sack him. Let's do this. Let's do that. Here we go again. It felt like it could have been coming before Manchester United and Ten Hag found that sort of run of results, not performances, but results against the likes of Luton and Sheffield United and Burnley. But after that performance of the weekend there, it's definitely come out in full force. I've got a lot to speak about in this show today. I've got a lot to run through with you. I forgot to upload one clip here. I've got one clip I want to try and run through. I hope it's all right. But look, I'm going to try and see who's down here from the member gang. I'll see who's there. You know what to do throughout the show. This really is it's beyond a therapy room. This is like a dingy pub at 11 p.m. now. Everyone's drunk. No one wants to go home. That's kind of what it feels like. Let's have a look. Good morning to everyone. Anthony, you're there. Oh, good to see you there. That's been a while, I think. Mank, John 74, how you doing? Frankie T, Carl, Kenny, Simon, you're there. Josh, and Jordan. We've got Haley, Robert, Natasha, you're there too. And Sorin and William Ford. Good morning to all of you. Who's there on Facebook? We've got Dan McGann. How you doing? Jacko Lucas. We've got Vincent Juki, Claire Hona, Ramalingam. And we've got, Paul Talbot and Stephen Gill. Good morning to all of you. Look, I hope you enjoy the show today. I don't know. I don't know what to say, really. What I've just done there is I've left the link to the latest podcast. Me and Bal, we tried to sort of dissect what we saw against Newcastle. And it wasn't very good. I want to shove my hood up as well now. It's kind of how I feel watching Man United these days. Certainly away from home. Just put the heating on, mate. It says down in the... I'm not going to say you. Down in the muff. Very nice. Can't put that radiator on because it will turn on like 5 other radiators in the house. It's a bit weird. Anyway, I've got the old dad technique. I just put more layers on. But look. Anyway, it's winter. I put a hat on. It's not a problem. The new podcast is out. If you would, it's so. I think I say this quite a lot of times. I do quite an insane amount of content, really. Here we're here live. I didn't do the live show on Saturday morning, but I did it on Sunday morning. We're here live Monday to Saturday at 10 a.m. I do an afternoon video every afternoon. There's a short video that goes out every day on TikTok, Instagram, and we do a podcast twice a week. It's there's a lot. So if you can, just show a little bit of love for it. That's all I'd ask. Because speaking about United right now, this much as well is it's quite depressing. I don't know why I'm laughing. But let's well, where else? What else am I supposed to be talking about? Carl, you're saying what's wrong with the team? What's wrong with the players? Ladies and gents, I wish I had a sort of magic wand solution, but I don't think there is one. I really don't think there is one. And the one thing I want to say before we get into this conversation, before you can all let me know what you think, and there's going to be stuff that you say that I disagree with, and there's going to be stuff I say that you disagree with, right? Not like nobody's going to be wrong, really. That some people feel, some do anyway, that this is kind of like definitive. Like, it's the players who are at fault and nobody else. It's the manager who is at fault and nobody else. It's all the problems stem back to the Glazers and the owners, and it's the fault of nobody else. Everybody is partly to blame. And this is probably the main thing I want to say there at the start of the show is that is it's not as simple as just blaming one part. Like all of a sudden, if you got rid of Ten Hag, the problems would disappear. Like you know that's not the case. Like deep down, you know that's not the case. All right. Even if some might feel that the quick upturn that you might get from sacking a manager and sort of bringing a new one in, and that will give you your dopamine for the next few months, and it'll be like, yeah, sweet, that feels better. And then you'll go into the same situation a few months down the line, whether it's 6 months, whether it's 12 months, whether it's 18 months, you will do it again. And that's kind of enough for you. You like that little dopamine hit. I know that's not going to fix the problems at our club. However, sort of piling down where we do kind of what we're doing now, it's not sustainable either. So what I'm going to do now is run through kind of a few things that Roy Keane's been saying, Gary Neville's been saying. We're going to speak about Rashford, speak about Martial, speak about McTominay, about Maguire, about Ratcliffe, about the sort of sporting control of our football club. There's going to be a lot that we need to speak about here. I'm going to go and see what you're saying down here in the comments straight away. Devo, you're saying Carragher was right in his analysis about these players. I'll run through that in a little bit. I think Ten Hag, I think the blame should be spread equally from every aspect of the club. And Abdul, well, that's something that I'm probably going to really be pushing here on United People's TV, because truth be told, we've got a great platform here. We've got a great community. So I want to try and it would be very easy at these times, because we've been here before, right? We've seen the film. We know the ending. It'd be very easy for me to just jump on the back of an individual, jump on the back of a manager, and just like, yeah, that's it. That's where all my scorn is going. It's just not based in truth. And if you think that, then you haven't been watching United long enough, truth be told, because history will tell you that's just not right. Now, Roy Keane speaking on Sky Sports Super Sunday yesterday. It's just kind of typical Roy Keane, right? I don't mean that in a horrible way. Roy Keane was the standard setter, and all it isn't it weird? I suppose it's because he's a pundit, right? And when you're a pundit, your voice is elevated. You have a platform, right? So it always gets to this point. Was it under Mourinho where he had that interview on Sky Sports and he was talking about players? I think it was. Am I wrong? No, I think it was under Solskjaer, and he said that the same players that they threw Mourinho under the bus, so they're going to throw Solskjaer under the bus, and that's sort of like a soundbite that keeps getting used and still gets used these days. You know, in the same way that Ragnick's open heart surgeries, that sort of resurfaced a few weeks ago, and it's probably going to resurface again now. I agree with a lot of what Roy Keane has to say, and as a Manchester United fan, a Manchester United fan of a certain age. I know there's going to be people that will say Brian Robson here, but Roy Keane is the best captain that I have seen captain my football club that I like properly remember. So Roy Keane, he went in on the players yesterday, and so did Gary Neville. So what I've done here, let's see if this gets taken down for copyright, because it probably will. But I know a lot of people have grown frustrated with Gary Neville over the last, I don't know, let's call it like 2 years. Like when Gary Neville first went into punditry, he was accused of being biased towards United. And like Gary Neville's sort of taken the approach of being a politician. Let me just stand on the fence, just right in the middle of everybody, not piss anybody off, and just try and sort of be impartial about everything. And that annoys a lot of people. But what he said here, I think, was absolutely spot on. So I wanted to play this clip. Oh, damn it. 1 second there. I've got to go. I've now got to re-export this clip in a slightly lower quality because it's too big for here. Right, there we go. Now, if this isn't multitasking, I don't know what is. I'm currently exporting a video to upload a video to put on whilst talking to you, whilst looking at 3 screens. Who said men can't multitask? Lies. Well, I could probably do it better. Right, let me get that up there. That one should upload. Good. Right, let me see what you're saying in the comments first before I pull this one up. And you just said something there that I think I want to go back to. What did you just say? I know this might ruffle a few, but Ten Hag does have a fair few of his own choices now. This is what I mean. Like, anybody pretend, you know full well how much I am a Ten Hag supporter. I don't think I've sort of hidden away from that or shied away from that. But what I've seen in quite a few times in his last few weeks, but like in particular that Newcastle game, was choices that Ten Hag made tactically, personnel-wise, that were just straight up wrong when there was other choices and other selections to have. And that's what I'm going to speak about towards the end of the show and for tomorrow as well, because, ladies and gentlemen, we got Chelsea coming up on Wednesday. Like, the games that we've got coming up now, boy. Chelsea on Wednesday, Bournemouth on Saturday, Bayern Munich in midweek, which is it's kind of a dud. It's a dud because of Galatasaray away and Copenhagen away and Galatasaray at home. But it's a bit of a dud. There's like a what? I would probably put like a 10% chance of us going through, but it's very unlikely. And then we got Liverpool away. And I'm going there, and I should be absolutely buzzing that for the first time in, what is it? 6, 7, no, how many years have I been applying for away tickets? Don't know. 7 or 8 years, something like that. This is the first time that I've been successful in the Anfield ballot. And I'm not looking forward to it. I'm already crapping myself about the idea of what could happen at Anfield because of our away record. It's that's just like the sad indictment of watching United at this moment in time. Gungshi, man, you ledge. Can I say big up to Joe, by the way? Joe, everyone welcome Joe on board, because Joe from today, well, I'm going to speak to Joe later, just in case you're watching, Joe. He's going to be the new community manager, and I'm in a proper community manager, because you as a community deserve so much more direct attention on a day-to-day basis than I'm capable of doing now, because I'm doing so much content. So the content's great, and the content serves the community, but the community itself, with all the little problems of so many of you I know that want to come over to Discord, but you might not know quite how to use it. I don't have the time of the day to be able to guide you through that. So I'm going to bring Joe on board, and he's going to help that happen. Right? So it's all this. I don't think this community is anywhere near as I don't give enough to you yet, and it's going to be the one. Trust me. All right. So the community is going to keep getting better, and it's Christmas coming up, by the way. So we're going to have some, like, we'll have like a live call, and we'll do like a live quiz or something like that. Probably get drunk as well. Why not? But yeah, let me play this clip here, right? Because I think what Gary Neville said here will reflect how a lot of United fans feel about United at the moment, and it kind of reflects how I feel.
It's well below par. It's really disappointing. I feel like we're in a cycle of, to be fair, we're now starting, or that the noise against the manager is starting to occur. There is then those same noises that say, well, surely we can't get rid of another manager. We've got to get rid of the players because they're the ones that have got rid of the other managers. And then we turn to the owners, and I'm bored. I've become tired of my own club. I don't want to do their games anymore. I don't want to watch their games anymore. And that is the saddest indictment that you can have of your football club, when you become bored of watching them, when you become tired of watching them. And it's not just me. A couple of people in the last couple of weeks, enough's enough. I know, and the daft thing is, Peter, on Wednesday night, I'll build my whole Wednesday night around watching Manchester United, because that's life. We go and watch them again, don't we?
That's fanhood.
That's how I feel today. I feel tired of watching them, and that's a sad position to be in, because I love that club, and I love the excitement of football, but I'm already fearing what's going to happen at Anfield in 2 weeks, just purely because I think that it could be a mess. I'm already fearing what's going to happen on Wednesday night against Chelsea, because it could be a mess. And there's no confidence. They've lost our confidence. The whole club has lost our confidence as fans. And in the media now, we just don't trust them either, because the reality of it is they fall below par time and time again. And not good enough. Definitely not good enough.
Nothing Gary said there is wrong, I think. I think that's really reflective of how we feel as a fan base. And like, there's only so far that your energy can go into repeated patterns and repeated cycles. And you know what I thought about this morning, which I think is probably true. And I don't know why I haven't really thought about it in this way before. Let me pull this up, okay? Because we've spoken about a rebuild of our club, well, since Fergie left, right? Because when Fergie leaves, it's like the same as Wenger. At Arsenal, when Wenger left, you need to rebuild kind of every part of your house, because he over the last 15, 20 years, he's just built everything around him. It took Arsenal a good while. And United, we've spoken about rebuilds, and we've had Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer, Ragnick, now Ten Hag. So we've had 6 different managers. Obviously, Ragnick doesn't really count as a rebuild. And nothing's ever been rebuilt. It's been building on sand. And the thing that I don't know about you, but I think this is a mindset that I'm in now, that we haven't even had day one of the rebuild since Fergie left. We've just been sort of telling ourselves that they've been rebuilds. But truth be told, while they remain at the helm of the club, the concept of a rebuild is a bit futile. And kind of always has been. And I don't think that's Captain Hindsight saying. It's just the hope of a football fan. That's what football does. Every single year, you come into that season hoping for a little bit more from your football club. And it's why I'll always prefer to take a positive angle on something. Like when we had the summer, I was like, okay, I can understand why you're trying to sign Mason Mount. I can understand why Onana would come in and transform that club. I can understand why we're going after Højlund and the hope that it's going to make a difference. But truth be told, and this is why I have to hope that things are going to be different this time. Because we're what? I don't know what's going on with the announcement of the Ratcliffe Sporting Control, the minority takeover. I have no idea what's going on. It's just because it's such a convoluted and complicated setup at United because of the different class structure of the shares and who's in control of what. It's clearly delayed it. But we have to hope. And that's all we can do as football fans, right? If you don't want to hope, I mean, you're probably not going to be a fan of a sport. It's part and parcel of being a fan. You have to hope that things are going to improve. You have to hope that things are going to get better. And I have to hope that when Ratcliffe comes in and takes this Sporting Control, that will genuinely be day one of the true rebuild of Manchester United. And I don't know, it's kind of made me realize that all these rebuilds that I've been talking about before and that we've had before under Solskjaer and Mourinho and Ten Hag, they've never really been rebuilds. They've just been massive plasters, which I think we all knew deep down, but we all hoped that it would be different. But hope's kind of futile when the people at the top are the snakes. And it's at this point today, right? Not just this point today, but from now on, where like, don't try and get into a conversation with fans of other clubs about Manchester United, because they will lure you in. I'm going to have to stop myself nibbling over the next, however, I don't know how long, because they're going to lure you in. So, what is it, the Glazers? Or you just need to spend another how much money on players? Blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, Ten Hag state they're going to do nothing but wind you up. So try and block out that noise is something that I would say. But yeah, we just have to hope that Ratcliffe coming in and control of footballing decisions being taken away from the Glazers can truly see an actual change behind the scenes at our club. Because the patterns that we're seeing now with Erik Ten Hag, right? The patterns that we are seeing, the conversations around players, around being bored, around the lack of identity, around the lack of attitude and approach. Boy, oh boy, like this exact same conversation has happened under like 4, 5, 6 managers with similar players across all of them. Not all of them, but similar players going across different managerial reigns. So I kind of feel sorry for you if you think that, oh yeah, sacking Ten Hag and bringing someone else in, that'll fix Manchester United. I think you can convince yourself that if you want to, but I'll tell you right now, you are categorically wrong. And that's not me saying that Ten Hag is not at fault for some of what we are seeing, because he absolutely is, and I will speak about that next. I'm going to go down here and see if there was a couple of you sent in super chats, and we go back and read those. Mank, you sent a gifted membership as well. Thank you very much, dude. Ray, what are you saying? You're saying the problem with United is players want the manager out. He gets out. Managers want players. They're out. They don't go. Well, no. Ten Hag's Ronaldo. Jadon Sancho will be leaving. Rafa Varane is currently... I don't think that's going to last, by the way. I'll speak about that a little bit later. Rafa Varane's not currently in the starting 11. I think a lot of what Ten Hag has wanted has been listened to at Manchester United. Too much so, in fact. And you're saying 37 years now, I've watched us lose many, many games, but never have I seen us not give our all. And it's the pride that stings and the hope that kills. That's a horrible sentence, but it's probably true. You can lose football games, right? I don't think any United fan's going to come in here. No football fan of any team can be annoyed at losing a game of football. It's part and parcel. But they can be annoyed with how you lose a game of football. And it's true. Oh, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Kind of applies to losing a game of football. It's not losing a game of football, it's how you lose a game of football. If you just sit there, put your feet up in the lazy boy chair, and someone just scoots past you and you go, can't be asked for that, and they go and score, that's a problem. If you scrap and you come out on the wrong side of it, well, you tried. Maybe the quality wasn't quite there, but the effort was. And that's just one thing that fans will never forgive. And that's where that's where we turn now to the sort of the age-old conversation, the repeated conversation around the players. Because just like, here we go again, right? Here we go again. And this is where you see that sign came out before the game against Fulham. Completely correct. Man United, what was it? 1-0 winners there. Alan Shearer. There's too many bad eggs in that Man United team. Too many bad attitudes. Marcus Rashford. And Roy Keane, and seeing what he's saying here about Marcus Rashford. Not Marcus Rashford, sorry. Anthony Martial. I'll run through all of this again, by the way. Marcus Rashford here. And you got Jamie Carragher and Roy Keane saying that the only thing I can say is that he's starting to look like Anthony Martial. And it's just like boy, oh boy, like we're here again, aren't we? Like we really are here again. And this is where I think it's I call it like the chicken or the egg. Like, what came first? This squad was here before Erik Ten Hag. A lot of this squad was here before Erik Ten Hag. I actually haven't even thought about this. Let's have a look. Tom Heaton, was he brought in by Erik Ten Hag as a free? Can't actually remember. Goalkeepers, there's been massive change. Lindelof was here. Maguire was here. Varane was brought in by Solskjaer. Delot was brought in by Mourinho. Shaw was here. Here. Wan-Bissaka was here. Johnny Evans, no, he brought him in. Bruno was here. Ahmad was here, I think. Pelistri, I think. Van der Beek, of course, who's leaving in January. McTominay was here. Hannibal was here. Martial was here. Rashford was here. A lot, right? I don't know about percentage-wise, but a lot of these players that Alan Shearer is calling bad eggs existed before Erik Ten Hag, and the same problems existed before Erik Ten Hag, and these same conversations existed before Erik Ten Hag. So that there, ladies and gents, is a repeated pattern across different managers, which will tell you that the likely cause of said problem is not going to be just those two managers, and that the problems run deeper. Common denominators, kind of basic maths. Basic logic. And a lot of people lose logic in the moment, right? The red mist. Emotions take over. Sod the players. You know what? This is just Erik ten Hag. Boot him out of the club. Getting rid of him. He's disgraceful. Shocking tactics. Shocking tactical structures. And I'll tell you what. You've got some justification there. I think there's some serious problems there. But, sacking ten Hag. Let's get rid of it. It's like, I don't know if they believe it. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do. It really is. The easiest thing to do is shout the loudest at the thing that's sitting on the surface. But it doesn't take long to just peel back the onion and just read. Oh, damn, the middle of that is rotten. The middle of that is rotten. That's what that. Just put another layer back on it. Get another sign in. Because I tell you what, right? I hate to bring the mood down even more. But this is where there's fair justification for being angry at Ten Hag. I am not. I remember having a conversation with the lads on a podcast last season. I don't know, it's called maybe like 4 months into the season. I remember going, can any of you tell me a decision that Ten Hag has got wrong? And we were like, oh, man, not really, man. Like, that was after the Ronaldo situation. And like the subs that Ten Hag was changing the games with. It's just, everything felt right. I was like, man, I'm so impressed. And then I look at this. Man United, and I'm glad you're all probably sitting down before I say this stat. Man United have got 1 point from our last 33 available away from home against the top 9. One point from our last 33. To compound that problem, we've scored 9 goals. I've done the maths before. Let me do it again. 10, 16, 23, 25, 27, 28, 33, 34. We've got 1 point from 33. We've scored 9. And we've conceded 34 goals away from home. That's not relegation form. That's like fold your club form. That's you may as well not exist form. That's how bad that is. And you know what I say to you about, okay, we speak about problems here about there's too many bad eggs in this squad, and I said that exists under previous managers, and that's a pattern that's built over time, and it shows you there's a problem. That right there, Ten Hag is getting it wrong in big games. And you know what I think Ten Hag is doing in these big games is I think he's going into a lot of these big games thinking, you know what we can do is I say big games, it made no offense, but Brentford, Villa, Brighton, Newcastle are a tougher team now. Yeah, given that. But it's just going into games where the players have not only the tactical understanding from their manager, but also a little bit of quality. Because against Manchester United, it is so easy to play around us. And I pulled this up. We had a show yesterday, right? It's so simple to play around Manchester United's press. Okay? I know Erik ten Hag, genuinely, he has the ambition of course he does. He has the ambition of going into these games and Man United sometimes going toe-to-toe with them, beating them at their own game. But all Newcastle had to do, because they knew what United would do, our pressing structure, and this is down to, right, Erik ten Hag. And this is where he's making mistakes now. And this is where we're really going to find out truly, really, really, truly how stubborn Erik ten Hag is. Because he wasn't stubborn enough to change his approach against the likes of Fulham, or kind of he never has been really, because we've always swept up results against those teams. Fulham, Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton, right? Might not be scoring that many, but we are certainly stronger as a unit in those games because the madness press doesn't exist in those games. It does exist in these games. It existed away at Galatasaray. It's why we were 2-0 up. And it's also why we couldn't hold on to the lead. Tactically, Ten Hag is just right now in these games, he is an architect of a lot of United's own problems. And if we go here to, is it that there? Anthony Martial, right? Any United fan who has watched Manchester United will absolutely know that you can't play Anthony Martial if you want to play a pressing structure. Right? I don't think that's groundbreaking news. I don't think that's a bombshell. And I don't think it's a knee-jerk reaction. That right there is just the truth. So to see Manchester United's pressing structure against Newcastle, that was zero surprise. There was more pressing from Bruno, who ran ahead of Martial. They kind of swapped positions. And Bruno was the player who was driving onto Nick Pope. But then Rashford wasn't following in. And Garnacho wasn't following in. But after like 5 minutes or so, they were all like, well, you're not fucking running in. Why am I going to run in? And a press only works when it's a collective. And that is the thing that Ten Hag has never had at this club. So he really has to, and this is what I mean when I said that Ten Hag, man, this is where we're going to see if he's really stubborn or not. Against Chelsea, we cannot operate with a man-to-man press in midfield. And I don't think we can operate with a high press either. I think what we need is a mid-press. When Chelsea comes to the halfway line, that's when we press in our shapes. But we can't chase the ball up front. It's just not happening right now. And you're saying, look, Martial and Rashford was like start. No, man, Rashford, man. After that game, or just that game itself, is it's crazy. And like there was a comment there right here. Sorry to call you out on this, Daz, but I saw that, so I'm going to call you out on it because there's going to be people that are saying this right there is exactly the sort of silly comments I'm talking about. Højlund's being destroyed. Needs to rethink his whole career. How on earth is that your conclusion? Maybe you're just doing that to troll me. I don't know. Maybe you are. But the reason that Højlund was on the bench there, I think, is because Højlund hasn't been able to complete 90 minutes for our football club yet. And Ten Hag, and I think incorrectly in this sense, made the decision to start Martial and to bring Højlund off the bench. Whereas I think he should have been the other way around. It should have been Højlund starting and and Martial coming off the bench. I think Ten Hag got that wrong. And with Marcus Rashford, I asked this at the weekend, and honestly, I really want, like, try and think about it before you write this comment in. But what is going on with Rashford? There's going to be people to say, oh, well, he's got his contract. He's done now. He's settled. He's fine. And there's evidence, obviously, to suggest that is indeed correct. But it's, on the one hand, it's an extremely unfair thing to say about Marcus Rashford, that he reminds him of Anthony Martial. This is a lad who's come through our academy, who has had some barnstorming seasons, But then on the other hand, you look at it and you look at how he's played there against. And like the thing that annoyed me, I think, the most about Marcus Rashford for that game against Newcastle, he had midweek off. Like, if there was anybody in that squad from an attacking perspective who should have been fresh for that game, it was Marcus Rashford. He didn't have to travel to Turkey. He wasn't involved in that wild 3-3 game. Yet, just nothing was there. I'm going to go down here and read your comments on it because I'm really interested to see what you feel like a solution to this Rashford problem is, other than just booting him out of the team, which I know that some of you will want to do now. Robert, you're saying he doesn't look happy at all. Off-field issues have crept into his game. And obviously, these are going to be the conspiracy theories that now emerge. No one knows about this. And all we can do now is speculate. And I don't mean speculate in a horrible sort of twist the knife in way, but kind of speculate as concerned fans. Like, this dude scored 30 goals for us last year. And now he's a ghost. What happened? Johnny, you're asking, when was the last time you can say he had a brilliant performance? I mean, the goal he scored against Arsenal was a brilliant goal, and in that game, he was tracking back, man. Go and watch the highlights from that game against Arsenal. You can see that Rashford really, really helped Dalot down the left-hand side against Bukayo Saka. So, like, he can do it. Like, it's right there. But it's been fleeting this season, and that's being polite. Something clearly not right with off the pitch with Rashford, says Alex. Better to take him out of the limelight and let. I mean, you say that. We tried that with Jadon Sancho and we gave him 3 months. 3 months we gave Jadon Sancho out of the limelight. And what did that change? Like, nothing. Like, absolutely nothing with Jadon Sancho. Until it blew up for all the wrong reasons when he came back in after what Ten Hag said. Rashford needs to be dropped for a couple of games. He's not hungry, no work rate. Okay. Sell him to PSG. Something's not going on. I wish that I could give you like a solution to the Rashford situation, but I can't. And I'll tell you what will definitely be playing as part of this, right? And this will be a frustration that's gone on behind the scenes. The chaotic nature, the current chaotic nature of Manchester United's press will be pissing a lot of these players off. And this is what I mean about we get to the situation of the chicken or the egg. Because in my mind, I remember how United played last season with a lot of these players. And the blueprint I'll always go back to is that Spurs game. It's bad that I'm going back to that game as a blueprint, considering it happened, I think, like 14, 15 months ago, like last October, where we beat Spurs 2-0. Fred scored a goal. I think Bruno scored the second. And Man United we had a really, really organised front press. And you know what was big about that? We had a much higher defensive line. We were much more compact as a team. There wasn't huge spaces between our defence and midfield and our midfield and our attack. And Norman coming in here with a lovely trolling comment. But I see this all the time, and all these people have to get called out. Somebody yesterday trying to say, the only reason Jamie Carragher and Roy Keane's going after Martial and Rashford is because they're racist. Yeah, they're racist. That's the reason there. Yeah, the only reason you're protecting Marcus Rashford is because he's English. I do not give a fuck about the colour of a player's skin or what country they are from. I will love that player the exact same, whether they're from Botswana, Argentina, Stockport, or Manchester. Anybody trying to suggest otherwise, you're getting called out for spreading that bollocks, because there's way too much opportunity for idiots to get a voice online. And it's about time you start stamping on those heads and stamping on those voices. I don't care if that's aggressive. I find that probably one of the worst parts of the internet. It really, really just like grinds my gears, man. So sod that. If they're from Mars, or sod that, man, they can stay there. Hate Mars. Snickers is better than Mars. Who likes Mars bars? Anybody like Mars bars? It's weird. It's not weird. It's just not enough texture in the Mars bar. That's what I think anyway. What else have we got to talk about this morning? Cheery. And actually, no, look, let's have a conversation about this man. Because of what this man, Martial, boy. You know, when people get excited because he's scored, like I kept saying before the Everton game, I was like, dude, Martial, man, make me look like a dick. Please, I beg to you, Martial, make me look like an idiot. Play incredible. Put in the sort of performance that makes people start questioning why I've wanted you booted out of this squad for so long. And lo and behold, 1 week later, here we go again with Martial. I mean, who could possibly, right? Who could have predicted that, apart from every logical Manchester United fan? But Erik ten Hag started him, and as I said, I can't confirm or deny this, but if Haaland was fit to play 90 minutes, Haaland would start that game. And you saw the difference when Haaland and Antony came on, didn't you? So I know you can have a go at tactics and structure and X, Y, Z. But then you have to have a go at Ten Hag for not starting those players in the first place. Chicken or the egg. But Martial, man, my God. The good thing is, right, and I can say this with confidence because I know it's true, this can only possibly last until the summer. In the absolute worst case scenario, Martial is a Manchester United player until June. And then he'll never kick a ball for us again. That's best case scenario. And isn't it weird? I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Martial, probably Martial and Sancho, as weird as, out of all the players who have impressed me in the 2 pre-seasons of Ten Hag in the performances, it was Martial and Sancho in the first pre-season. Was it Martial in the second pre-season as well? It definitely in the first pre-season, and it was definitely Sancho in the second pre-season. And look what's happened to them since. Ten Hag can't be playing Martial. Not if he wants this style. Ten Hag might be able to play Martial if we drop the concept of a front press. And this is where it comes down to pragmatism versus principles and what Ten Hag wants and what these players are capable of. And this is a video I really, really want to do, all right? Really, really want to do. Because I think it's almost like there's 2 parts to this video, okay? I think some might say it's like a divisive video, but I think it's just it's a truth video. And sometimes the truth is divisive, right? How many of these players can Erik ten Hag trust to do what he's asking them to do? Okay. And I'm not going to run through them all now because it will take way too long. I think it's a video in isolation, right? And I can run through the list, and I've got the list in my head, right? And then what I would do is I would do the exact same video again, and I would say, okay, so how many of these players can Erik ten Hag trust who have the quality needed to execute what he's asking? In his ideal ambitions of what he wants this Manchester United team to look like. And that list, I'm telling you, that has both players he can trust and players who have the quality combined, it's not many. It really is not many. And that tells you 2 things, I would say. Number 1 is, well, the squad is just, we're not there yet. And number 2, man, we have fucked up again in the transfer market. And I said it to Bao on the podcast yesterday, right? Well, that's Amrabat. Where's a photo of Ten Hag? I swear I've got another photo of Ten Hag here. There he is. When it comes to successful football teams, you can pretty much mirror that. You can follow a club's success by what happens to them in the summer. Whether they have successful summers or not will directly reflect how successful that team can be in the season that follows. Right? And with Manchester United, that's proven to be the case, like, for so long. Ten Hag this summer, you know where I think he messed up. I think the biggest mistake that Ten Hag made this summer, and in fact, I'll ask you in the comments here. Actually, this will be an interesting one. If you had to say one, like, isolate one error that Man United made this summer in the transfer market, what would you say is the biggest mistake? Now, Sean, you're down there saying you were delighted when we signed Amrabat. Which is it? I was delighted when we signed Amrabat because we signed a player who, in my opinion, was a profile that this team desperately needed and desperately was missing and would never. Which makes it all the more confusing for me as to why he's not playing. I'm going to speak about that in a little bit. And I'll see what you're saying down here, right? About what you think was the biggest individual mistake that we made this summer. Aiden, you're saying not signing Keane. Christoph, Dan, Nikki, Ant, Sandman, Mazid, Nikolai, David, Lasun Kanmi. You're all saying Mason Mount. And Alex, you're saying not signing a 2 strikers. And Robert, you're saying it there. And I think this is it for me. This is the biggest mistake that Ten Hag made. And you know what's part of that, right? Man United going after signing Mason Mount before signing a number 6. You know what Ten Hag made the mistake of doing? And I'll be honest, every single one of us made this mistake. Every single one of us made this mistake as a United fan. We all expected a lot more of Casemiro this season. Because if you clock your minds back, if you take your minds back to last season and the Casemiro that we had last season, and you're thinking, well, if that Casemiro exists behind Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes, then wow, yeah, man, I can get behind that. All of us, Erik Ten Hag included, overestimated the capability of Casemiro. And that's why signing Mason Mount so soon was the mistake that we made. Now, partly that might be Captain Hindsight speaking, because everything's easy in hindsight, isn't it? But then if you look long and hard at Casemiro and you knew about the athletic requirements for that new number 6 role, then you might have been able to spot it. You might have had the long-term planning. Ricky, you're saying that we made that mistake for good reason, though. Casemiro was phenomenal. And this is the thing. Casemiro was phenomenal. But you have to wonder, with better long-term planning, long-term vision, and like a director of football overarching all of it that can look at it and go, like, I know Casemiro was great last season, but do we really think that Casemiro can do that again next season if we're going to be switching to a more aggressive 2-press, where you've got your 2 number 8s pressing? That for me was the biggest mistake. What we should have done was spent 60 million signing a top-class player of the Casemiro profile and then spent deadline day chasing an extra number 8. Instead, we spent 60 million on Mason Mount and spent deadline day trying to sign Amrabat on loan. That for me was the biggest mistake we made this summer. You know what's interesting down there, and I'm glad that no one did, but it's interesting. Not one of you, maybe there's 1 or 2 max. Not one of you has said that letting De Gea go was a mistake and bringing Onana in, because that wasn't a mistake. I think if we made a mistake with Onana, it's the fact that we signed him probably 1 season too soon. Because now that we're, again, hindsight and all this, we signed Onana to play a style of football that our current team still isn't capable of doing. Abdul, you say, look, Dude, this is what you're saying right there is exactly the problem of our football club. Casemiro was excellent last season. Who could have possibly had the vision to look ahead? That is exactly what a director of football does. Because look, right, and I know that it's you might say it's a weird thing for me to say here, but I'm only doing this because of my own experience, right? I run United People's TV, and I love doing United People's TV. But the day-to-day requirements of United People's TV are quite intense because there's not a huge team. Like, I'm building the team. We've got big up to Ronnie, big up to George, big up to Joe's coming in now. Steve, you're there too. Miles as well. Ollie, you're here, but you're not here. But don't worry about that. I'm building a team here, right? And the requirements of United People's TV on a day-to-day basis are big. Morning live show, afternoon lunchtime show, short video in between, preparing for the podcast twice a week, match, all that jazz, right? It takes a lot for you to be able to just do your day-to-day planning. So therefore, sometimes I can't have my vision on longer term goals. Like, I really want to be doing more like story-driven narrative videos here for United People's TV. But I'm so busy with the day-to-day that it's kind of hard for me to plan for the future. Ten Hag is so busy in the day-to-day of Manchester United, in the looking down and just what he has to do just to sustain Manchester United, that it's impossible for him to get his head up and see where he needs to be in 6 months' time, see where he needs to be in a year's time. And I guarantee you, if you had a director of football, there may have been some better long-term planning, and we might have been able to see what was going on with Casemiro before it happened to Casemiro. Because I don't think Ten Hag would have had the time and the ability to be able to see that. That's the point I'm making here. And that's the point where I'm just hoping that, ignore that. I have to hope that the ability to forward plan at our football club will finally be coming with Jim Ratcliffe, because we never have. It's always been about short-term dopamine solutions that kind of eventually run into the exact same wall every single time. Every time. And we're running into that wall again. I'm not going to sit here, hand on heart, and say now that I have complete belief and confidence that Ten Hag is the right man. I think he's making some dodgy decisions now and some strange tactical choices. And I want to see some differences against Chelsea and Bournemouth straight away, which I think can be done. All right. Stop with the midfield man-to-man press. That's not working. Currently, the front press isn't working. If Haaland's not fit enough and the players aren't there, let's just stop that for a little bit. Go to a mid press. I know that Varane might not be, on paper, you're saying isn't really going to be that angles on the left centre back, but what, are we playing out better from the back without him? I'm not sure. Wong, I mean, Alexa, show me a person who is watching United People's TV now that wasn't watching United People's TV when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was manager. Fucking hell. Oi, the amount of stick I got for supporting Ole Gunnar Solskjaer until the bitter end. Oh, I can hear Alexa in my kitchen trying to do something now. Whoops. Ten Hag has to. I think I set all your Alexas off. My bad. I set my own off too, so it's all right. It's all right. I'm still going. I don't know what I've done. I've set something off outside. My bad. That's still a thing. Do you remember that when they just brought out the A word, and I think they did loads of adverts that had that in as well. I hate. Like, I go back to. I might even play that that video from Gary Neville again at the end of the video. It's so spot on, and I just have to. This is all I've got, ladies and gents. This is all I've got right now. I have to hope that when Ratcliffe comes in, that that truly that will be day one of our actual rebuild. And then like the realization that the last 10 years, we've not been rebuilding anything. It's just been Groundhog Day. We've been stuck in some sort of time loop. Because spending money hasn't really been the problem at our club, all right? For the last 10 years or so. I don't think anybody would really, I don't know. That comment caught me off. Sam, your streams are getting boring. We've had this one before. Hey, look. Semba, do you think we should have kept Veghorst? No, I don't think we should have kept Veghorst. As much as I enjoyed watching Veggie, my God, for a striker, I've never seen a striker less capable of hitting the back of the net than Veghorst. We have to hope here that the Ratcliffe announcement, I mean, sod knows when it's going to happen, man. All right. We heard 2 weeks ago, we heard last week, we heard this. I can't say with any confidence now about it being, it doesn't really matter who's saying it, unless it comes out directly from the club. Truth be told, how much change can happen between now and January, I don't know. But speaking of January, like January is going to be an opportunity where I wish, and this will never happen under the Glazers, we'd lose money as a club, but my word, would we be a better environment for it? Just getting rid of these players that shouldn't be here. Donny van der Beek. I don't look at Van der Beek and have any particular scorn towards him at all. I think I have more sympathy for Van der Beek than I do anything else, right? We signed him for 40 mil. 40. Done. Gone. Jadon Sancho. 70 plus mil. I think with a full director of football in place, I think we would have been able to foresee a lot of those problems with Jadon Sancho before we chased him for 2 summers. But we never had anybody who looked at that. We never had anybody who even did a little bit of research into that player. And I can guarantee you that I'm not saying that it's guaranteed that we wouldn't have signed Jadon Sancho, but I guarantee we would have known more about any issues that happened behind the scenes before he came in. Anthony Martial, honestly, please just pay what he's needed to call out that contract and let him leave, and he can go and restart his career somewhere else. And just give that position to Joe Hugel, because right now, like, what is Martial adding to this squad? What? I'm telling you, Martial leaves, we lose nothing. Our squad does not get any worse as a consequence of Martial not being part of it. And I'm done being polite about it. I'm 8 years into it. He's close to a bloody testimonial, for goodness sake. These players, and that's what January for us has to be where we just start clearing those decks. And we've talked about Deadwood and getting rid of this and getting them. We never truly do it. I think we have to accept that some of our transfer budget has to go with paying off players that we don't want to be at this club. Bill Murray. I do feel like Bill Murray. I do like Groundhog Day. I've actually watched it more than once, which is kind of a bit weird, really, when you think about it, considering you're watching the same film like 8 times whilst watching it. My video today is going to be on my lunchtime video, is going to be on. Paul Scholes said quite a few things about midfield. And when it comes to knowing about midfield and what works and what doesn't work, I think Paul Scholes is a very good person to listen to. I'm going to be doing a video reacting to his comments there. I think tomorrow, what I said there about this video on not only what players can, not only what players can Ten Hag trust, but at the same time, what players can Ten Hag trust that actually have the quality needed to do what he's asking, which I think is a far shorter thing. Last couple of minutes of the show. Look, you can ask me whatever you want. You might say it's been a bit of a bang on the hour. Ding. You might say it's been a bit of a moany show, but it's just reality. I haven't even been able to open the Cantona Christmas box. First of all, because I haven't got anything in it. Second of all, it's not exactly the right show for it. But if you haven't already, by the way, there's the raffle. I mentioned it, for the first time an hour into the show. That's an idiot. Giving away, it's a cracking prize. And this is only lasting, there's only 2 weeks on this raffle. So I can wrap it up and get the PS5 Slim and EAFC 24 sent out to the winner. So you get it before Christmas. That's what I want to do. Because that is, you got to have that before Christmas, man. So if you want to, the tickets are only £1. Let me give you the link to the tickets here. There it is. Only £1 to enter. Someone's going to win it. Someone won like a 50-inch TV and a Bose soundbar for £1. Someone won 700 quid towards a Disney holiday. Let's see what's going on here. Did I miss any super chats? I did, actually. I think I missed one up here. Jibak, what are you saying? Spurs have an inferior squad than us on paper. They scrapped like hell yesterday. Challenged City for every ball, worked their socks off and took a point. Yeah, they did. And I think that's where I think there is fair criticism to say and suggest that Ten Hag's instructions and game plan must not be as clear and concise as Postecoglou, or his methods of teaching them are not as simple to understand. Maybe it's a bit of both, maybe. But the players just, Spurs have, and the other thing that will always annoy me about Postecoglou at Spurs is they accidentally, drunkenly stumbled backwards into getting Postecoglou. How many managers did Spurs try and get before they went, you know what? I've run out of ideas. Postecoglou? And it's the best thing that's ever happened to them. No long-term strategy, no vision, just a happy accident. That's Postecoglou at Spurs. And fair play, sometimes you do get lucky. But that is a pure luck from Spurs. I'm happy for Flav. That's the only Spurs fan I'll be happy for. He's a nice guy. Big up Flav. Do you think Rashford has been a fit? Yeah, I absolutely do, John. You're asking that. I definitely think that's part of it. I don't know to what degree, but I think that's part of it. As I said, last couple of minutes of the show, you asked me your questions, and I'll try and answer them now. Let's have a look. Sam, would you sell Rashford in the summer based on everything from his debut until now? Reese, truth be told, I don't think Manchester United are going to have the capability of. We're going to have to put a priority list down. And I think there'll be too much to resolve before you get to selling and replacing Rashford. Because that's the thing. It's not just about selling a player. It's about replacing a player. I think we could easily sell Rashford. But it won't be short of suitors. Replacing him, our club isn't very good at that. Truth be told. How long do you think that Ten Hag has his... Calvin saying, how much time do you think Ten Hag has at United? I think with Ten Hag, how much time he has will directly be reflected by what he does in the next few weeks. If Ten Hag can make some changes, and I think there are tweaks that can happen for the Chelsea game that will make us substantially better. And I think he can implement as a coach. And then Bournemouth, and then Bayern, and then Liverpool away. Fucking hell, man. That Liverpool away game, I'm terrified by it. Because for me, and this is I'm going to wrap up on this one. I think it's a fair ender. For me, with managers, I always Watford. Maybe that was a little bit different, but for me, it's always those big defeats in the derbies and the big games that matter. That's where the sort of the critical blows happen. That's where the critical hits happen on managers. And a Ten Hag, if that happens at Anfield, it could well be a critical hit for him because he's already wounded. There's a comment down there which I'm going to completely disagree before I leave. Greg is saying he won't change it, Sam. He's too stubborn. Dude, look at Luton. Look at Fulham. Look at Burnley. Look at Sheffield United. Against those lower teams, he was happy to adopt a much deeper defensive line, give possession up, and we won those games and we kept clean sheets. He can have different styles. What he's not been able to do is find that in games where the opposition is far better, because you can't sit on the edge of your own box when you're playing those elite or better teams with better quality. So that's where he starts to go toe-to-toe with them, and it doesn't work. And that mad press in the middle doesn't work. I'm going to do my video on those Scholes comments today. I like to think, well, that was a genuine sort of adult conversation around United right now. It's not easy. It's not easy. It really isn't. Especially when you're seeing a manager here. And I don't have anywhere near as much love for Ten Hag as I had for Solskjaer. And honestly, I'm not just saying this because Solskjaer is our manager. For me, it was either Giggs or Solskjaer that were my two favourite players when I was growing up, because I was left-footed and I never started games because it wasn't good enough. So I was a super sub. So therefore, Giggs and Solskjaer were the two players who meant more to me than anybody else. So seeing what happened to Solskjaer at the end was brutal. Remember when he left in that interview when he was crying? Damn, that was deep. And with Ten Hag, I remember what I saw last season. I remember that League Cup final and going to it, and everybody we loved it. And it felt like we were coming back. And then here we are again. This football club, man. My God. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, and if you can, just drop a like on the video. Again, I've asked that an hour and 6 minutes into the... I really should get better at that. It'd be nice if you know I got better at football as well. And by the way, I'm buying some new lights in my tree because they're really dim. It's annoying me. So they're coming today. I'm going to brighten up that tree. Anyway, much love. I'll see you tomorrow. And I'll see you at lunchtime for the video.